So, I watched the movie Memento by Christopher Nolan. Um, it's a very interesting movie. It's Christopher Nolan's first movie, and it's incredible what he did with his first movie. Um, I'm sure he had some experience with the industry and plot, construction, and whatnot, but for his first debut, um, it's quite an accomplishment to be able to construct a story and narrative and plot that seemed it uh, made the audience feel like they were in the same shoes as the um, anterior grade amnesiac Leonard, um, not knowing what had just happened, living in the present, and only having memories from who knows how many years ago. Could have been a week ago, probably not, given the plot. Given the movie, it wasn't a week ago that his memories started being lost. Um, Potentially a few months or a year or more. Um, but the protagonist doesn't know a whole lot in this film, and neither does the audience. The audience has the benefit of retaining memory, so as the film progresses, the main character loses his memory like 6 or 7 times, something like that, just continuously. Um, he's constantly relapsing and forgetting everything. Not relapsing, but his um, sickness takes over and he forgets everything. Um, so this movie begins at the end and has one timeline which is moving in reverse and another timeline which is moving forward through time. And bits and pieces of them are laid on top of each other um, in sequence. Uh, so the first scene is it's really unique how he did it because you see him killing Teddy, and it seems like what in the world is going on? Why did he kill this guy? And then he looks at his evidence, and it's like, okay, it looks like he was right in doing it, given his circumstances, given his past, and given why he's on the hunt for John G. Um, but then the story continues, and you get a clip of him in the past, and it's in a black and white noir type uh, film style. Um, and then it continues bit by bit, just one scene after another, or one chronological piece after another. Um, the uh, black and white is moving along in a normal um, beginning to end um, route, and eventually the colored part of the film is moving backwards, and the two meet up, um, and you get a whole picture of why he shot John G at the beginning of the film, and it's got some really good themes for like identity, reality. Um, it makes you question a lot. There, there are constant scenes where, well, there are a few scenes um, where Leonard um, seems to have these opinions about his reality. There's one scene at the end of the film where he's like, "If I close my eyes, I have to believe the world is still there." It's not an exact quote, but it's a rough quote. And it seems he is choosing to ignore his skeptic little piece of his mind, which is like, when he said that, it was right after a scene where he had just set it up so that when he does forget his past 30 minutes of what's been going on with him, he will believe eventually, he has the puzzle pieces to eventually believe that the John G who raped and murdered his wife, at least in his opinion, um, is Teddy, the police officer, supposedly, who helped him supposedly find the real John G, who supposedly raped and murdered his wife. Supposedly. Um, so reality is very subjective in this film. Leonard wants to believe that it's objective. He says at his first meeting with that chick, I forgot her name, um, the like only female character in the film, um, who plays Trinity in The Matrix. I thought that was pretty cool. In that scene, he says to her, "My actions have to." Because she asks, "Why do you want to get revenge? Like you'll forget. Like why will it's not gonna fit. It's not gonna help you heal." It's a really big thing. It's a main drive for this plot and why it seems to be continuing. Because we're beginning like in medias res. Like we're not beginning when his wife was murdered and he gets hit in the head and loses his ability to create memories. We're not beginning there. We're beginning at the end of his story, where he's become basically a serial killer. Not exactly. I think it has to be like 3 murders, but I think he's probably killed 3 people. I don't know. Not for me to say. Um, but he wants to believe that his actions mean something outside of himself. I mean, I guess they do in a grand scheme of things, but they don't mean the thing that he thinks they mean. He wants to say that his actions cause justice to happen for his wife. But his perception of what needs to happen is. Sorry, my cat is tearing up my room. His perception of what his wife deserves is clouded by his damn it, cat. Yeah, well, you're not getting treats today because. All right, sorry. He has this like selective memory and perception of his past, um, and he's like he's reconstructing his past identity, the person he knew he was. And Teddy makes the point that well, Leonard doesn't know who he is currently because all of his actions for the past year or more um, aren't building on each other, creating this new person. Which, for us, we are a new person each and every moment that we go through. When I go into my kitchen and make myself cereal, or I make myself ramen, I'm a different person depending on which action I take. And what experiences I experience. Um, Loki, stop it. Come here. I'm not giving you treats. You're making a mess. Chill out, bro. Hey, be patient. You'll get fed in a minute. Just give me 15 minutes, bro. Um, so yeah. Okay, I've got to deal with my cat. Be right back. Okay. Um, so right, Leonard has lied to himself and continues to lie to himself about who he is because he's basing that off of who he was. But even his perception of who he was is clouded in this desire to be able to stomach morally himself. So he's like reconstructing himself, lying to himself, etc., etc. And in the end, he lies to himself again, just so that he can keep having a drive, this John G he needs to find. And because he's upset, I guess. Because Teddy used him um, near the end of the plot, which is right before the beginning of, I mean, near the end of the narrative. Yeah, near the end of the plot, but in the middle of the plot narrative, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the film, which takes place in the chronological events right before the beginning of the film, Leonard chooses to lie to himself. And man, this film is so weird, so trippy. Sorry. Uh, he chooses to set himself up to hunt down Teddy, the man who claims to have assisted him with finding the John G, the man who at least, I think, raped his wife. I don't think, at least according to Teddy, I don't think he killed. Are you doing your video? Yeah, I'm doing my video. Okay, sorry. No, you're good. Um, I suspect that he didn't kill Leonard's wife. I suspect Leonard has separated himself from, like, separated his identity, his perception of himself from the death of his wife. And this Sammy Jenkins character is him post accident when he uh, aids in the unknowingly aids in the suicide of his wife. Um, and of course, I mean, but then that doesn't make sense because how would he maintain that memory of this Sammy Jenkins character? Once he's just told the story so many times because he's got it tattooed on his hand, and he does make a point of saying that repetition, unlike Sammy Jenkins, causes him to have habits, and so he can make new memories, but really they're just uh, muscle memory. Um, so yeah, I think Sammy Jenkins probably is Leonard. Um, Everyone lies to Leonard. Teddy's lying. The female that uses him to, well, Leonard killed her boyfriend because Teddy lied to Leonard. Sorry, my cat is begging for more treats. Um, so there's like, and so the female lies to Leonard. Leonard um, hurts Dodd. Dodd gets kicked out of town. Um, he's upset at the female. She gives him info which he asked for, and that points him in the direction of Teddy, saying that Teddy is John G, which conveniently his his name. It does seem to be John G, but he admitted that at the beginning of the film and seemed to show evidence that Leonard had already found his real John G. So constantly in this film, where our reality is, at least from Leonard's perspective, reality um, seems to be objective and they're truths, but really he's lying to himself, and his objective reality is constructed. It's very subjective. His identity and his memories and his inner dialogue is all untrustworthy. Um, so, like, who is he? Who are we without our past? It's a very interesting film. I liked it a lot. Uh, I wish I could talk for an hour about it, but I don't want to make you watch too much of me talking about something I don't really understand. um, hey, buddy, come here. Come here, Loki. He just wants me for my treats. Good boy. Yeah, he just wants the treats. Let me see if I had anything else to say. It's interesting in this film, Leonard admits that memory isn't trustworthy. That's why he takes all the pictures. But even then, he lies to himself and creates false realities because of his blind. I guess it's not blind, because in his past life, the the who he thinks he is wouldn't ever lie to himself, right? He's looking for the objective truth. He's hunting down his wife's murderer. Why would he lie to himself just to go satisfy this base human need for revenge or whatever? He's looking for justice. That's how he views himself. But he does, because he isn't his past self. He is totally different now. He has done a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all led him to here. So he lies to himself, and because of his twisted view of his identity, he trusts his past notes blindly. Um, I mean, I guess you would have to. You really would have to, because if you didn't, like, I would go insane. Because you have to have. I mean, because of him moving around, he would have to be. If he wasn't, if he if he was wanting to have a stable life, he would have to be like Sammy Jenkins, living in a home, forgetting what happened the last 30 minutes, and just sitting in a chair watching TV or commercials or whatever, um, just living life second to second. But Leonard seems to have this drive to uh, push past Sammy Jenkins's weaknesses. He even has a tattoo that says, "Don't trust your weakness," something like that. Um, which is interesting because ultimately he does. He falls victim to his own weakness. He lies to himself and forgets about it and causes himself to kill. I mean, not an innocent person, but he allows himself to be used by uh, bad people. And he himself is a bad person. Like, he's not morally superior in any way. Um, I keep talking about this forever. I'm going to stop it here. Thank you.